What's going on, guys? Welcome to this first in-person podcast we've ever done. If this thing goes well, then maybe we'll do a few more. But I have a PTBI student, Craig McClure, who's in town, and he's been hanging out all week. He came, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Something like that. He's been crashing on my couch. So we decided might as well have a conversation, record it, see what kind of golden nuggets come out. Because I know this guy likes to talk. We like to talk business, and I know that there's gonna be some valuable information here. But just to give Craig a little intro, Craig was one of our very first PTBI students. He is a poster child at this point, one of the best testimonials and student success stories that we've had. Joined in 2020, he was a senior in high school and started his business as a senior in high school. Did a couple semesters at college, decided to drop out because he was making more money in his personal training business. And he's been growing his business for 3 years now. And right now he's on his way to a 60K month. We'll see if he hits it, but that's the goal, which is absolutely insane because he's only 21 years old. So that's still hard to wrap my brain around because when I was 21, I was busting tables, figuring my life out. Craig, welcome in. Stoked to have you.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. It's great being here.
Yeah, I know that there was a podcast that we did a couple years ago, and at the time you were doing about 20K a month, and now you've been doing consistent 35, 40K months, and your life looks very different because at the time you were living at your parents' house, and technically you still live at your parents' house, but you haven't. Yeah, you haven't been home for the last 3, 4, 5 months.
Yeah, something like that. It's honestly like I don't even have a home. I literally just.
You're homeless.
Yeah, I'm homeless. I bounce around Airbnb. Traveling, now sleeping here.
Yeah.
And I haven't really been home. I don't really plan on stopping, to be honest.
Yeah, Craig came out to Vegas for my birthday last weekend, and when everyone left, Craig was like, hey, I don't have a place to stay. Can I come crash? I was like, yeah, dude, come through. Why don't we talk about what your life has been like over the last 6 months? What got you out of the house? How has business been since you've been traveling? What's life been like? I feel like there's a new American dream. The American dream used to be come to America, get a job, maybe start a local business, grow it, and make a lot of money. Now it's break away from the system, own your own business, work remote, travel, make money for yourself, and you are living that. So what's that been like?
It's been pretty crazy. Now that I know it's like I'm capable of doing it, I know this is something that like people are doing, and I've met up with a lot of other people that are doing the same thing. I will never go back to like doing what I was doing. You said you were obviously like busting tables and things at 21. I did do that. I was busting tables, landscaping before starting the business, and now I know that this is out here. I know what I'm capable of. I will probably never go back. I don't know why I would. I think what broke me out of the shell was I signed up for like my first like in-person event. It was actually at that ranch that I talked about on the weekend with like Devin Levake, Jimmy DeSico, those guys. And I went out to that ranch, which is just like a business meetup where we were doing like fitness activities, but talking business. They had a bunch of guest speakers. And I just met a lot of cool people there. I networked, and I figured that like those people there, they're really good at living 1 month as if it were like 10 years that most people live.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've taken away from him, is that I just want to live that way. And like the last 5 or however many months I've been traveling, every single day is a new adventure. I feel like I'm packing so much more into life. Like I'm living like 10 lifetimes in just 1 month, every single month.
That's awesome. What was that event at the ranch, and what were they doing that opened your eyes? Like when you say they were living 10 years in 1 month, what does that even mean?
I think it means that what business used to look like, I think even before I started a business, was very like cut and dry, like just very formal. And I think that the new way that we're experiencing business is like there is fun attached to it. And also that's why I feel like I was able to relate well with you, because there are business owners that still exist doing what we do, but they're not having fun. They're not doing crazy shit. They're not like, I ran in the Grand Canyon last week because I can. Why not on a Tuesday?
Yeah.
So I think that it's combining fun within business, and I think it just makes such a more fulfilling life. And honestly, I'm able to serve my clients and serve my community 10 times better because I'm actually genuinely fulfilled, and I'm actually happy because I'm doing the things I want to do versus sitting in the same room doing the same thing every single day, driving 5 minutes to the gym.
How would you say your business has been affected versus living at your parents' house day in, day out in the trenches versus now you're running the Grand Canyons 1 p.m. on a Tuesday, doing backflips in a new pool every single week?
Yeah, I would say it was a belief statement. I had the belief that if I start traveling and I do these things, that the business will take a hit from it because I'm not able to be sitting in the same spot, able to answer texts, calls, and do all of that in the same location, which was very comfortable for me. And what I found is it just took that first leap. It was like signing up for that event, and I realized that I was able to make just as much money, even more, while I'm traveling. And that's something that I've experienced even like last month. month we hit our highest month ever. It just continues to happen when I do travel. And then I think it's just, I don't know whether it be that one, I'm doing crazy shit, I'm doing fun stuff, things that I enjoy, and other people are seeing that as well. And they see me living this life that is driven by fitness.
Yeah.
Like I'm able to do a lot of things outside of fitness, whether it be business, just enjoying like hanging out with friends, going out, doing these things, what is all driven from like that original spot of being fitness driven and starting my fitness journey, which has opened up so many doors for me. So I would say like people are more so buying into that now. They see that you can do both. You can have the fun, you're able to do a lot more with your life when you are active and when you are in shape. I think that's honestly helped me the most. I'm attracting a lot more clients and a lot more people that are interested in living the life that I'm living because they see it looks like it's a lot of fun. Because I mean, it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I believe in the same philosophy. I know you know Anthony DeLuca. Anthony is a sales rep on my team. We talk about this all the time. There's so many business owners that are dweebed up and they're by the book and they're rigid. And we look at that and we're like, we want to bring something different to the space. We want to make a lot of money and we want to have fun. We want to show our students that they can travel, they can party, they can live the life of their dreams and still be successful at the same time. And it's honestly the reason that motivated me to get so many tattoos is that somebody can look at me and not think right away that I'm like a super successful person, but then find out that you can actually have both. You can have more than people think you can have by being able to have fun and also prioritize the business too. And I think one thing I will say too that I've learned is that I'm actually more productive when I travel because you have a limit on your time.
I agree.
For myself, when I do not have travel plans, if there's a project that I need to do, I could do it tomorrow. I can do it next week. I got time. But I just got back from the Philippines about a month ago and I'm going to Colombia in about 10 days. And I'm like, I got this to do before Colombia and it needs to be done before that date. While I'm here, I'm able to be so much more productive. And then when I'm in Colombia, I might not be on my phone all day long, but when I am on my phone, I get the work I need to get done within the first 2 hours of the day and then I'm good.
Yeah, it creates time restraints. It's hard to make time restraints just like out of nothing, right? When you don't actually have them. I've tried it personally in the past. Like while I was at home, I was doing those things. I was like, I'm gonna try to create deadlines, almost like you're in school. But when they're not real and they're not actually like tangible, like you said, going on a trip, I've noticed that a lot because when I'm not working, I am doing a lot of other things. I have other plans, whether it be going out, whether it be running in the Grand Canyon or doing some things like that. I have to be very efficient with that time. When I am working, I'm just in flow state and I need to just be dialed in, making sure I'm getting it done. It's surprising how much you're able to get done in a short amount of time frames when you obviously have those restraints set up.
But dude, it's honestly surprising how much little work you do to run such a successful business. You realize that once you have time constraints, once you're on a trip, let's say we're in Colombia, because you might come to Colombia with us. Let's say we're in Colombia and we know at 11 o'clock in the morning, we're gonna go to the gym. After that, we're gonna go on a hike. After that, we're gonna get dinner. So all of our work needs to be done by 11. We will get our work done by 11. That time constraint, we can get it all done. And then you realize, oh man, I've been wasting so much time. I could have been doing so much more with my life if I just actually put myself in these situations to where I had to get that done.
I agree. No, definitely. And I always thought it would be the reverse. I thought that I wouldn't, built into who I am, I will get the work done no matter what. Now, I'm like, obviously having a routine is great. And that's why I'd say traveling is the one thing where it's like, my routine is a little bit like out of whack. I still have a routine in the sense of like, I'll work out. I'm still eating. I'm still doing these other things. But just the order at which I'm doing the things are a little bit like, it's kind of tough sometimes when you are traveling.
I was going to say the amount of monsters I've seen you drink within the last couple of days in this house. Yeah, it's pretty insane.
Caffeine is up there for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
The other thing too is, well, I was going to say that's honestly for myself. I like to do trips and I like to travel, but 2 weeks is my max. I can't do month to month. I can't do Airbnb after Airbnb after.
It's tough.
I love having a home base, and I think Vegas is a really great home base. But with the stage that you're in right now, when I was 21, I think when I was 23, 24, or 22, 23, living in Virginia, that's when I was doing my crazy like road trips everywhere, seeing the United States. I covered a lot of ground during those years because I had a six-figure coaching business, but I also had no employees. You were a little bit further along than I am, but I had no employees. I didn't have a girlfriend. I didn't have a dog. I didn't really have a lease. And so it was a lot more freeing. Now I have a little bit more weight that I kind of need to be buckled down.
You own things.
I own things. Yes, exactly. I got a car payment. I got car insurance. I got all these things. But yeah, I'd say for you, dude, definitely seize the year. Definitely the country too. But how are you feeling now? Like you're halfway into this. Do you want to go back home? Do you want to find a place? Are you excited for maybe the next trip? What is the next trip?
Yeah, I mean, next trip would be ideally Colombia, hopefully. We can get my passport in time.
We're just waiting on his passport to come in. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Oh, man.
We got 10 days to see if it comes in.
It's really only 10 days away. Damn.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. So I leave on the 18th. I have 10 days. everyone else leaves the 21st. But honestly, bro, if your passport came,
yeah.
if your passport came on the 24th,
just gun it out there.
just buy a ticket.
Yeah, no, I would say, I think the beauty is that I don't have a plan per se on where I want to be exactly. I just know I want to continue to connect with really awesome people. And I think that traveling has allowed me to do that. I can say I can go to Texas and know a bunch of people and be able to meet up or go get a cup of coffee with someone, or I can go back home to New Jersey and have that as well. And it's just cool to know people in all these different areas and states. So that way I can always have somewhere to go and I can always just kind of go there, make new opportunities from a business standpoint. And yeah, I mean, I don't really have a long-term where I want to end up. I'm trying to figure out that now, kind of like, do I want to settle down? Do I want to get a place?
Definitely got to get the business out of New Jersey.
Yeah, getting the business out of New Jersey will help. Taxes obviously aren't the best there, but I mean, other than that, like taxes out of the picture, it's still, I just feel like I have a lot of time where I can continue to travel and do these things. And I think it opens up more doors than it doesn't. So like, I don't know if I want to sit still. It's very difficult for me. As you know, I'm like just always kind of go, go, go. I would say stay here for a little bit longer. We can go to Colombia. Awesome. I do want to make it out to the West Coast. We'll have a team retreat. We'll have a coaches retreat as well. So we have some big things coming up on that side of things, which I'm pretty stoked for, but I'm just going to be bouncing around for the most part until then.
Love it. I'll live vicariously through you. And you know I'll always be down to meet up wherever you're at. I'll come out for a couple of days.
This is my first time meeting you in home base.
Yeah.
We've been in Texas together, New York, San Diego.
Yep, this is the new home. I want to switch gears and talk about something that I was speaking to with my client the other day, and I use you as a reference. And we talked about this the other day on the couch, but I was having a call with a client, and this client was like, I just kind of need to refocus on what I need to do in order for me to get to the next level. He's about the 8 to 10K mark. He's trying to figure out what does he need to do to get to the next step. And I was like, dude, you just need to buckle down and stay focused on doing the things that got you to where you want to be, but stay focused on doing it consistently enough to where you can go over the edge. And he made a comment, so we're talking about you. I was like, look, I know Craig, he's a neurotic dude and he will not go to sleep unless there's a call booked on the calendar. Like, it does not matter how many messages he has to send, how many ads he has to run. Like, it does not matter if his team's working or if his team's asleep. He will be booking calls unless there's something on his calendar. And he said, he was like, oh, you mean when Monday night comes around and it's 8 o'clock, he won't just sit down and watch the Lakers game and relax. And I was like, no, Craig will never. Craig would never.
I don't know.
So what do you focus on? Like, how do you feel about that comment?
I think that I luckily, like when I started my business, I didn't really have much other like things to pull from, like past experience. I was super young, right? So I didn't necessarily.
You were in high school.
Yeah, I was in high school. I didn't have my back up against the wall. Like I feel like most people start their business where they're like at a need for these things. So for me, it was just like, I just wanted to produce the life that I wanted to, and I knew that action was the only way. So like even when I started PTBI originally, I tell you this and we always joke about it, is like I never even finished the full PTBI because I just took everything I needed to get started and to take action. And then I got good at those actions, and the same things apply today to like where we're at with business. Those same, like you said, basic principles, doing the basic but at scale. So I would say it ultimately just comes down to me just falling in love with doing the action without knowing if the result will come, and then just it will come though. Like it always does. Same thing with fitness is like if you can do the thing without knowing if you're going to get a result from it, but you can still keep doing the thing even without having it right away. I mean, delayed gratification, it will eventually come. Obviously, I'm not saying if you consistently do the wrong thing, you're going to keep getting, you're going to get something good eventually. But I think it's just kind of understanding that over time it will work. It's worked to tons of other people. Why not you? Why wouldn't it work the same? I didn't really need to stay up that late and do that every single night. I just know that I needed to get the job dane. And I don't think the job was just doing it. It's almost like checking the box. And for whoever that is, it's kind of like, well, are you just doing it to check the box, or are you doing it because the result that you want from it? It's probably because you want the result, right? So stop checking the box to check it. Because if you just check the box in business, you just keep checking that, you're going to get a shitty business.
There's something I always tell our students is that there's a difference between sending messages and booking calls. And it's not the same. Booking calls is going above and beyond to get the result that you need and do as much action possible to get that result. And oftentimes it's going to take a lot more work for a small result than you think. Think of it opposite. But something that you mentioned here is loving the work. Do you love creating content? Do you love sending messages? Do you love handling objections? Like, do you love that work, or what gets you to do it?
I would say I love what comes from, like, helps to create me as. Like, it basically helps me become the person that I know I need to be and the person I want to be. So I think that by doing them, I don't love it every single day. Like, social media and having to pump out, like, at least 7 pieces of content literally every single day on all the platforms. Am I going to say I want to do that all the time? No, of course not. But at the same time, the person I become by doing the thing and having to stay true to that, even if there's personal things going on, even if there's other shit hitting the fan, and being able to do that, I'm stoked for the person that I'll become after I go through it. And that's also what I've learned about success is like the reason I'm not at 100K, 200K mark per month is because I'm not yet the person who is deserving of that amount of money.
You'll get there though.
And that's what I'm saying though, is like, it's like you up level yourself, and when you get there and you up level your individual being is when you actually get to that goal.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite moments in business is when I'm creating course material. And I remember specifically when I was first building the PTBI course, it was like, I forget how many hours, it was like 20 or 30 hours. Like I didn't even switch my Instagram yet to business coaching. I was building this in secret while I was still running my fitness coaching business. And I remember thinking to myself, I love that I'm not getting paid for this. And I love that I'm doing this work with no guarantee whether or not it's getting paid, but I believe I'll get paid, but this is the stuff that no one else is doing.
Yep.
And even when I'm building course material today, I don't have to build course material.
Yeah.
I'm not getting paid for that money today, but doing that work that I'm not getting paid for is what people pay for down the road.
Yes,
right?
I agree. I mean, we both started within fitness, right? And I think that you learned that through fitness, because the workout you did today, you did this morning, you're not going to see the result from that maybe months down the road, or maybe not even longer. So like, it's not, we're not gonna get that result right away. And it's kind of the same thing with business. And I think that's why we've gotten good at business, is because we're okay with having the delayed gratification that most aren't. Because they see people like hit 10K in their first month or 2 months in, and they're like, well, if that's not me, then fuck.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of it, is when you get good at fitness, then usually if you're able to apply the same principles into your business, there's a lot of similarities. Like it's pretty congruent actually when you look at it.
Yeah, no, actually I think the lessons that you learn in fitness translate to business
Very
like
well.
one for one.
Yes,
almost
I agree.
one for one. Something I kind of want to touch on, because I know that you and I haven't really talked about this too much, and we won't go into too much detail, but I do know that you recently got out of a relationship within the last year.
Yeah.
But your business did not take a hit. And I feel like for most people, if they get out of a relationship, they are out for the count.
Yeah.
So what was your thought process behind that? Because it seemed like it didn't slow you down a bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't say that, like, it was definitely a hard time. I wouldn't say it was like easy, but I think that I worked so hard in building like the habits and just doing the thing and actually doing it, that it was very hard to break. It was almost like brushing my teeth. I knew every single week I would still be able to hit those things, because I also knew that like business does not give a fuck what is going on in your personal life. The world will keep spinning. Your clients will keep needing your help. It doesn't change. Just because you're on your little bubble and you have shit going on, nobody cares.
Yeah.
And I think that's like something that hit me pretty hard, because I was like, everything else is still going on. Like, it's not like I can just pause this. Maybe when you're just starting and you're on your own, you don't have employees, you can just stop.
Well, dude, even the loss of time, if you took a month off of your business, there is so much lost.
Yes.
So much momentum lost.
Yep.
You can't afford that time off. And I'm not saying like if some family member dies or you like definitely have time to do it, but do it in the hours of 5 p.m. afterwards.
Exactly.
9 to 5, you're working.
Yes. I think that for me, during that time frame, one, it was a long relationship. So I think that it ultimately, honestly, helped me in starting my business, because I was less focused on that side of things, because I was just like already whatever, like I'm set, I'm good, and I would just be able to focus. I wasn't really distracted at all. So I think it honestly aided. There's a lot of benefit to it in that era. But then coming out of it, there was definitely a period where it was very much like trying to just make sure I was hitting the numbers, hitting the KPIs, tracking, making sure I was hitting, and just sometimes it was going through the motions, and sometimes I was just like, okay, I have to be okay with this for this time being. But yeah, we were hitting our highest months consecutively after each other right after that happened.
Was there ever a period where you were struggling, where you're like, damn, maybe I need some help, or maybe this isn't like going the way I want it to?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it was tough, because like it was like showing up on calls with people and clients, and
when you have all that shit in the back of your mind, and
you have all that going on in the back of your head, it's definitely like, it's pretty draining when you like finish like a big live training with like a bunch of your clients, or you just hopped off a meeting with your whole team. It's pretty draining when you just dump everything into it, and then you're also on top of that already pretty emotionally drained. It's definitely, I would say that part of it was tough. I wouldn't say it was like putting on like a game face or anything. I just got really good at handling my own stress, because like I ran a business for a while. And I think that almost the stress that comes from business and the emotional like maturity that you have to have from getting to a company to the size that I had it at that point, I've already done a lot of the work, so that's why it was easier for me to have that occur, I would say.
That makes sense.
Because like, you know what I'm saying? Like when you're in business, you just age a lot quicker, I think, every year. And you have to get to that certain point where I think it aided me in that, because I was able to have these skills and these things where I'm able to have like stress management a lot better.
Absolutely. So there's been many points in my business where I've had a really hard day or a really stressful week, and you're just so drained from what's going on in your personal life, and you're sitting there before the call and you're like, man, I really don't want to take this. But canceling the calls is never an option. It is never an option, at least for my philosophy.
I agree.
I'll give you a good example. So back in 2019, when I was around hitting my first 10K months with my fitness coaching business, I was at an in-person mastermind. I was with about 15 other coaches, and we were learning from a speaker, and the speaker said, hey, you guys have 15 minutes to go out on a break. And I get a call from my dad, and I step out, and my dad tells me, first time I was hearing it, that he had cancer. And I'm like, damn, I'm like, this sucks. I'm gonna have to process this, but I could process it later tonight. I walked back in and kept taking my notes, because for me, learning that news, whether I processed it right there on the spot and threw everything out the window, or I processed it just a few hours later, it wouldn't make a difference in how my dad is doing or how my family is doing or anything of the sort. But if I threw myself to the wayside, it would have only affected me in that moment. So I feel like when it comes to dealing with personal stress and personal challenges, you can compartmentalize that emotion and save it for later and still get the job done.
I agree. I think that a lot of people also, like, they'll pre-stress about something before it even happens.
Yes.
And like, that's kind of what you're saying is like, you're gonna take the hit, like it's gonna come, but like if you could just stay calm, and then you can't change anything right in that moment. And I think that's also something that I've had to learn. Funny enough, like when I'm laying in bed at night and if I have something that comes to my mind, I'm like, I can't change it right this second. So why do I have it stressing me out? It's not gonna change. I'm in bed, like I can write it down, whatever it is, if I need to get it off my head, but I can't change it right now. It just can't be changed. So it's good to just let it go, and then obviously deal with it when you're actually able to sit down and deal with whatever it is.
Let's switch gears here and talk about some punches that you've experienced with business, because I know for our company over the last 6 months, I'll say we've been hitting consistent numbers again and again and again. It's almost bad in the sense because you get cocky and you're like, nothing can go wrong, and you're the man, you're doing all that stuff, and that's kind of how I felt. And then this last month in April, we were at 50% of revenue that we had been doing for the last 6 months, and it was a real gut check. It humbled the shit out of me and my team, and honestly, I think I needed it. I was grateful for it. Like imagine making 5 to 10K per month, and then 1 month out of nowhere, you make half of that. It is a real gut check. So I feel like when you're running a business, it's moments like that that really define you as a leader, because what are you gonna do in that moment? How am I gonna get out of this? What am I gonna do? That is real stress as an entrepreneur. Have you ever had any moments like that?
Yeah, I would say, well, one, yes, from like a revenue drop, we've had those before. That happens. But I would say outside of that, there's always like little internal things, which honestly are sometimes just morally created by me, not anything else. Like I'm stressing about that they're not making enough, or I'm not giving enough to them, or whatever it is, whether it be like employees. So I think I put a lot of more internal stress on myself for these things, because I have to care for them and make sure that they're thriving, they're seeing the success they're looking for. But I have been really good at, when those times happen, understanding that a lot of times it's because like it's in my control. A lot of times I found with business is like most of the things that happen are a result of you, and a result of something that you did, or something that a belief statement that you imposed upon your team, so then they did in fact on time, like basically from you. So I would say like I've gotten really good at when those times happen is, yes, emotionally, like mentally, it's pretty tough. And I think that having people like you as well when those happen is very helpful, because you're like, okay, it's cool. Like just zoom out, look like, imagine if you were talking about this today, like a year ago. You're making like $1,000 a month. You know what I mean? Like, so it's definitely, when you zoom out like that, it gives you a lot more perspective. Because if I asked you the same thing, like that number, whatever it was way lower than it normally was, but like look at last year.
I mean, 6 months ago, we would
exactly. It would be like, well, like what the fuck are you complaining about? So like, I think that I've gotten better, and I catch myself in those circumstances, and the more you catch yourself, the easier it gets moving forward. So I'll catch myself when I'm getting those like mental little pits, and I'm like, hey, yo, just pull yourself out for a second. You're okay. It'll work out. And it always ends up working out. Even when you get stressed day to day, like it continues to pan out as long as you keep doing the action.
Dude, I always say, like, especially when you're so number focused, I always say whenever we miss projections, sure, it might feel like a gut punch, but then you just adjust the numbers, you adjust the little knobs in the business, you make a new goal, and then you hit the different goal. And if you don't hit the initial number, then fuck it, you'll hit it the next month. But as long as you're making the adjustments you need to hit the targets that you want to, it always works out in the end.
Exactly. I mean, you're always gonna have those little tweaks. It's never a set it and forget it with business.
Dude, it's never. It's 1 month at a time.
People think that, and like I think even you probably experience it with maybe people that are new to business and they're starting with PTBI and they're trying to start a company, and they're like, well, this took me from here to 10K. I'm like, I'm doing the same things. Like, are you doing them better? Like, people are getting smarter. Are you realizing that? Are you like, your consumers are getting smarter. They understand what you're doing. You have to make sure that your branding is very well. Like, it's getting more competitive in that side of things, whether it be from like messaging people, getting leads. So I think that just the mindset behind thinking that it's always going to work that way, like we are always adjusting content. Like people are like, oh, it used to work. I'm like, well, great, it doesn't work now. So like it's always constantly shifting, and I think that you've seen success, I've seen success because we keep pivoting with it, which is stressful, because it's like once it works, you're like, I'm just getting the hang of this, and then it changes.
Dude, you have to stay on the ball. You have to stay plugged in. I've learned that. We've had PTBI for 3 years now, and the first PTBI lasted us for about 1.5 years. The second PTBI PTBI lasted us for about 1.5 years. And now I'm going through and I'm having to revise and update a lot of lessons because the market moves so fast.
Yes.
What worked 2 years ago isn't working today. What worked a year ago isn't working today. You have to stay plugged in. You have to stay on the ball. You have to pay attention, or else the world's just gonna pass you by.
I agree, and I think that's what I'm saying. I see a lot of people that are doing that. Or even if like other students reach out to me and they're like, "Hey, can I get some help on this?" and they will consecutively do the same thing, even though they're not seeing the result they're looking. It's like, what is the definition of insanity? It's doing the same exact thing, expecting a different result.
Yeah.
So I think that is also something that's helped me a lot, is being willing and able to shift it and not be so stuck in my ways, and just being okay with being innovative and not just being like cookie cutter. Obviously, your company is very good at giving you the frameworks as well and giving you like a solid structure, but it's also sometimes nice with business to color outside the lines. Like that definitely happens, and I think that being open to doing that is definitely something that's helped me out as well.
What are some examples of you done to color outside the lines? Maybe you learned how to do one thing one way and you kind of tweaked it and made it your own.
Yeah, so I would say more so from like honestly from a pay structure was as one thing. Like a pay structure and also a pricing on packaging. I think I always got in the mindset of like, it should be this amount of cost, right? I think we talked about this recently, where it's like, you kind of get in that, like if you're hanging around a bunch of people that are in the industry that are just starting out, and like you hear these numbers and the ranges that they charge per client.
It like gets imprinted.
It gets imprinted, or about
that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, or about how much you should be paying X employee or X person or whatever it is, and like it gets ingrained in your head. Most things in business, like we're just making this shit up on the fly most of the time. So I think that me getting into other groups and other people that are maybe even higher and doing way better, and like seeing like, wow, like this is crazy, you guys do that? And I think that helped me almost like break through a new ceiling and realize there's so much more potential here. We can be charging more if we're obviously getting the demand for it, and if we're giving the service that we're obviously saying we're giving. So I think that is one area that more recently I've actually realized and I've been able to break out of. And it's like, it's almost like a belief that it has to always be that way. It has to be cut and dry.
It is really interesting. And we had this conversation because you joined PTBI 3 years ago and you're still following some of the similar models. And I'm like, dude, why are you still following this stuff?
Yeah.
And I'm like this is for beginners, right? You know, so we were talking about the pricing structure, 200 to 500. That's for a beginner when they're getting their feet wet with sales calls, learning how to handle objections. Now you're selling multi 4-figure packages, and that's where you should be. And a lot of the students that go through our program and get up to the 10, 15, 20, 30K mark should be no longer following the frameworks and systems that we teach inside of PTBI. We also talked about this with hiring employees too. You will outgrow employees. There will be, your first employee will likely not be the employee that takes you to the next level. It will get you to a certain level, but after that level, you will outgrow that employee, or their skill sets will become incompetent or whatever, what have you. You might need to hire another employee and another employee. You have to always be leveling up, and what got you to one point is not going to get you to the next point. You have to be willing to change things to get to the next level.
Yeah, and I actually, this is like an analogy, I don't remember if it was in a book or something I read, or maybe a podcast, about like using the analogy of a rocket ship. When you hit certain levels of like the atmosphere or whatever it is, like different area, they fall off, right? Same thing with what you're talking about with business, is like there's going to be people that aren't able to hit that new height or whatever it is, and they will fall off as you're going into the space. So I think that's
such a good analogy.
That's kind of like what that is essentially. It's like they're not maybe capable of getting to that new height that you're going to. And I think that's okay. It's not necessarily like a bad or good thing. I don't think we have to attach labels to it. It just is.
Yeah, it's just business. It's just business. You got to do what's best for the baby.
If there's someone that's been with the company for a while, and if they're like about your brand, they know what you're doing and they know how many lives you're changing, I think that they will respect that decision as well. If they know that they're falling short on our service and what we do for like our people as well. So I think that's a good thing too, is just being very transparent and knowing like if they are actually in full support of that vision and they are holding that vision back, they should understand that.
I want to switch gears here and talk about something that I think that you're probably experiencing this right now. I know we'll be able to relate on this, but everybody wants a life of freedom. Everybody wants to live this life that you're living. You're making 40, 60 grand a month, 21, no wife, no kids, no house, no mortgage, no lease, nowhere to be. You literally got nowhere to be. Technically you're homeless. You know, you can travel anywhere, but with that freedom comes massive amounts of responsibility. And people do not realize that the more responsibility that you take, the more freedom you earn for yourself. The less responsibility to take, the less responsibility you earn for yourself. What's that been like for you? You have a team of 5 team members. You have hundreds of clients. You've worked with hundreds of clients in the past. There's responsibility now on your plate.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely something that I didn't realize. And honestly, like entrepreneurship, it's definitely very much glorified. It's a really cool thing. Like I'm very grateful that I have the opportunity to be able to do this, that I've gotten myself to this point. But it's like there's drawbacks, just like anything else. There's always things like in the one you're talking about right now, like the baggage that comes with all the responsibility, and almost as if like, although I have honestly less responsibilities than even most of the people in our company too, because like you said, I have like no attachment to anything. I literally just focus on business and exercise, and that's it. Like that's all I gotta worry about. about. So I think that it does play into my mental health, and that's something I still am currently like working on, is making sure that I understand that they're all my responsibility, but like that's okay too. Like it's actually, it's a privilege to be able to have that type of like responsibility over these people, and to actually have to like,
put food on their plate.
Put food on their plate. Yeah, like be of service to them and make sure that they're able to provide to their families. Well, but it's definitely something that gets harder and harder, I think, as you go. Like you're saying, you make more money, which is cool, and most people tie that to more freedom, which yes, but that also is exactly correlated with responsibility, like you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, a good example of when we dropped in revenue last month, there's a couple things that I had to realize. Number one is that before I had a team, before I had things to pay for, before I owned things, it was like, oh, if I had a bad month, who cared? Like,
yes,
like I could still afford a pizza. Like, but now it's like, I got to get my team paid, and if we don't bring in the revenue, then I'm not eating. I will put food on their plate first, and I will take a hit before, rather than vice versa, which I feel like a lot of people, you need to get into that state. It might be like a sibling, maybe you learn this like when you're a parent, but it's very much the same thing. Like they eat first, you eat last. And the responsibility once you get to that level is no longer like doing this for yourself, but doing this for them.
Yes, and I think that's actually, funny enough, drives me the most now. Is like, it wasn't originally, because it was like you said, if it's like a lower month, it's like, okay, I mean like, well, I'm still all right. I'll be all right.
Revenue drops a little bit.
Other people. Yeah.
You still got
like,
money.
I was still at that time, like I was still probably stressed, but like it's a lot more now if that happens. And I think that drives me the most, is because like if we're not hitting it, or if we're lower than we should be projection wise, then I take it on myself, my own shoulders, to be like, that is where I need to put the rocket boosters on. I need to realize like I need to work, and that's why like I will not go to bed. I will get what needs to get done for them to be able to live the life that they want to live and be able to provide to their families. So I would say that's honestly one of my bigger drivers, because like me, like when you get to that point, like you are at a certain set where you're like, I'm good, like I'm okay, like you can live comfortably, you're good on that side of things. But what's more important now is getting everyone else to be that way. I feel like that's definitely something that's on my shoulders, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing to have like on my shoulders. I think it's a good thing because it makes me be more driven. Because otherwise it'd be easy to get complacent if I didn't have that on my shoulder in the first place.
Absolutely.
It's interesting. I never really talked about that, but I guess that's kind of what drives me the most right now, I'd say, is getting them to hitting that certain amount, or getting them to be able to help this and serve this amount of people. And it's kind of more so driven on them, which I know will directly help me obviously and help the company grow, but it's a lot cooler when you put more focus on them. And I think that's why I lived at home for a while too, is because I was able to put more away to then give back more into the company and give back into those people, which I think a lot of people, when they're starting their business, aren't in a position to do so, because they're starting it, they're switching jobs, they have their back in the corner, they have rent, they have all these things. I didn't have that. I could just put it away and then give back to my team even more.
And a lot of people too, when they hire a team member, they think that their team member is there to serve them. They're like, what can you do for me, or what can you do for the business? They're not thinking, okay, how can I help this team member grow so that they can then return the favor and help our clients or help us. You know, recently I just put 12 grand into a mentorship program, not for myself, but for 3 of my team members to go through. Right? So it's really important to invest in the growth of your team members, because that's inadvertently the growth of your company. So what are some ways, because I know you do really good development with your team members, bringing them, you do company retreats, you coach them, you have team calls and stuff. So what are some ways that you help your team grow?
So I would say that what I've been implementing more recently, this is actually something that I'm just going to use this because it's the most recent that we started implementing, which I really love, and I actually learned it at Coaching Con, like maybe it was a month ago now. And it was something that Tom Ballou, I don't know if that's how you say his last name, he's the one that owned Quest. He sold Quest for like $1 billion or something like that, Quest Nutrition. And implementing the fact that our employees, our coaches, our team, they're able to, and I use the analogy of a car, and that's what he used as well. They're able to dent the car, but they can't total it. And I think that when you allow your employees to be innovative and try new things and potentially dent the car, meaning like the business, it actually allows them to grow much more. And they're able to actually feel a little bit more free in their position and not feel like they're constantly like restricted and they can only do X, Y, and Z that you tell them to do. And it almost drives them to be able to push for more. And I think it's just a really great analogy, because we don't want to total a car. Like if you're doing anything that might total a car, like don't do it. But it's okay to dent it if it means that we might potentially be getting something that's better, or we're able to be innovative or implement something new. And I think that's something that I've implemented and allowed them to make sure that they have that space and they understand that like I give them a lot of freedom. I don't over hawkeyes them, and I know they're good people. I know that they're good at what they do. Otherwise they wouldn't be on the team like anyway. So I'm able to allow them to get that space, and I make sure that they understand that they're able to do what they want to do and able to live the life that they want to live. So it's more, I'd say, setting less rules and just making sure that they are okay and they're like able to take those risks. Because as a business owner, the whole reason I got here is because I took risks. And like it's stupid to not allow your other team members to do the same thing within the business, because that means we're not going to grow. If I'm the only one taking risks, like what are we doing?
So I do the same thing. I will always, even down to our VAs, like we have levels, right? And we also have seniority and hierarchy and managers and stuff like that. But I will get on the call with every single employee and ask their opinion. What's the feedback that you're getting? Because they're the ones in the trenches. They're the ones that are going to give me the reality of what the business is doing, what the market's like, and every single one of their opinion is valued. And if they have ideas, I won't execute on all of them, but I will try to do as much as possible so that way their vision can be a part of P2BI as well. There's also something that we talked about, that everyone is valued to an opinion, not everyone is valued to a say. So at the end of the day, you are the CEO, you are the decision maker, you're the one that gets the final say. And I do this with Ryan all the time. Ryan comes to me with all kinds of ideas.
Yes.
All kinds of ideas. Some of them I execute, some of them I say, hey, this isn't like, I'm not going to be executing on this one because of X, Y, and Z. And so when as a business owner, you get the final say, which is not totally in the car.
Yes.
Right? They bring ideas that can dent the car. Maybe if it's not a good idea, it dents the car. Maybe it's a great idea, they get fulfilled. But at the end of the day, you're in control of what gets a say, what doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome thing to do. And it's something that I've always strived to make sure that, because like if you don't say anything, you don't at least like let them know and put them in an environment to know that they're okay to like say what they think. I think it just makes like a really bad work environment. And I think that since we're all connected so much like within our company, and we've met in person, we talk all the time, we're texting 24/7 in our group chat, whether it be something funny, whether it be work related, texting in Slack. I think that creates and allows them to understand like it's okay. Like although like we are all working together, although that I am the owner, I think that we all have mutual respect for each other. I understand that, especially from a coaching standpoint, some of like our coaches, they know more than I do about coaching. So I think that me having respect for them and their own craft and what they do, and I think allowing them all to have their own certain like things that like I understand that we at some points are mutual on this level from a coaching standpoint. Obviously, yes, I'm still going to be the top person in terms of the business side of things, but I think that just helps a lot, is they feel comfortable coming to me with these things because we have a lot of conversations outside of just work as well, which is something that we've implemented from a team meeting cadence as well, which is actually recommended by one of our coaches. Was like, hey, we should have a meeting where we just sit down and we just fuck around. Like we just have a good time, we talk, we try not to talk business and we actually get to know each other more. So I think that implementing more things like that, more team bonding, whether it be flying your coaches out to a retreat and doing things like that, it just creates a better work environment. Because I always like to put myself in their shoes. Like how would I feel if I'm just doing the same thing 24/7? I don't have people I can talk to that are like-minded.
Absolutely. And also too, it's cool to be able to create an environment that you would also want to work in. I think that is something that I do, because when I was an employee, man, dude, it was just the little things that I was looking for. I just wanted a little thank you, a little appreciate. Even if it was in my job description, I was getting paid to do it. A little pat on the back saying, Zach, you did a great job cleaning those tables. Even though you get paid to clean those tables and I don't have to say anything, you did a great job. So I always make sure to let my team members know that they're doing great, they're doing fantastic. And I think the little things like that make a really, really great work environment.
I would agree. They even say that about dogs, right? Where it's like giving validation works better than like saying no. Or like being negative and like being like mean to them.
But dude,
it's like giving them a treat for doing the right thing versus like saying no to them when they do the wrong thing. It's the same thing with like people. Humans work the same way. When you give them praise for doing the right thing, they're more inclined to do that because they got reinforced from it from the past.
And honestly, I feel like that goes, being in a work environment where you're appreciated is more important than your salary. Right? People will honestly stick with you long term. If you have a bad month, if you have a bad 6 months, and you're like, hey guys, we're running into rocky water, but you've done a really great job building them up and showing appreciation, they will stick with you with it through and through, regardless of the revenue, regardless of their getting hit. That's how you build really strong company culture.
I agree. It's hard to create that too. I mean, it is easier said than done. And I think that it's also important, like when you are starting a company, when you're adding on these employees, you make sure you're really clear on communication. Because I think that, I learned this from Layla Hormozy when she spoke at the event too, is that it's very unlikely within a company that you're over communicating. Like it almost never happens. I'd rather always over communicate than under communicate, which most companies under.
So I will say part of the reason why I think we do good is because I am an over communicator. Me as a person, if you know me personally in real life, I am an over communicator. I will over text, I will call people, I will confirm plans 3 times. It's just little things like that that make a big difference.
Like you saying, I need to go nap now. Very clear.
And you know what's really interesting is a lot of the times, as I've worked with so many students, what I can tell now is that someone's success in business is directly correlated to their personal habits, their communication habits, their personal decision-making skills. I think decision-making is huge. Being able to schedule, being able to prioritize, being able to execute, things like that. So when you're talking to beginning coaches who are just getting started, what are some red flags that you're like, okay, well, this is going to hold you back, or things that could easily be overcome outside outside of like the team and the scaling and things like that, when it comes down to the actual individual, what do you think are the characteristics that set the people who win apart from the people who lose?
I think being entitled. A lot of people when they're starting, they think they're entitled to being successful.
Dude,
they see a lot of
oh my gosh, I see. Oh,
I think that's probably the biggest
I didn't
thing.
sign a client in my first 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's gonna take work.
Yeah, and I think like that's probably number one is just being entitled, thinking that they're entitled to more than they actually are.
Yeah.
And understanding that like it's not the algorithm, it's not this, it's not that. It's like people just don't like your shit. You're just not known enough yet, and they don't understand what you're capable of doing.
Yeah.
So when you're not signing clients, it's like clearly there's a gap between what you know,
what you think you are, versus what you actually are, how you're actually perceived.
Perceived value, yes, exactly. Like you're only worth what people are willing to pay.
Yes.
So I think that often is the biggest thing, and the biggest like red flag I put up if you think you're entitled when you're starting. I started, and when like we got into communication, I went to personal training. Like I didn't even know you could make money in fitness at all. I just happened to cherry pick some stuff from your page, from like King Keto and Brandon Carter and stuff, and I didn't really know about that. I was just gonna do in-person training. I was gonna go to school, go through like anatomy and physiology, learn that, and then get my PT cert, and then do something in person.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to do personal training. I grew up playing sports, and I enjoyed that. And then I happened to come across the fact that you could make money, you could actually make a full-time living and change a whole lot of lives while doing it online. And I think more people today, at least that I've seen, you obviously are directly in every day, are joining because of money, not because of changing people's lives and actually getting good results for their clients. Like they're joining because they see me making this amount of money, they see you making this amount of money, and they're like, I want that, which is okay. It's okay to want money. But I think that's why a lot of people don't end up staying in it for the long term.
Yeah, I experience this every single day. Is people want the money. I think it's great. People should want money.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not a bad thing.
But you have to be willing to suck at first. Dude, the very first goal that I had for my business, the very first goal when I launched my online coaching business, was I wanted to make $3,000 a month. And my plan to do that was to sign 30 clients at $100 per month. Yeah, and that's like, I was willing to put in the amount of work that it took to sign 30 clients and only get paid $100 a month per client, because I knew that I just needed to put in the work and earn my way up to 10K. You don't just start a business and go straight to 10K.
Yes.
You have to hit $1,000 a month first, then $3,000, then $5,000, then $10,000. Then it was 20, and then it was 50, then it was 100, then it was 200. Now it's $1 million a month. But I digress. It goes up in steps. And if you are not at 10K a month, you need to figure out what is your next best step and downplay yourself. If you have to take yourself off of the pedestal and think, maybe I'm not that good yet, and you can absolutely get there, that will serve you better and faster, because it will get you to take action on the next achievable step. And then it's one step after the next.
I totally agree. And I think something that I've actually tried doing better at is like when you see someone that's doing way better than you are, or maybe even one step above you, is just like always looking at it from the sense of like, clearly they're doing something better than you are. And when you try to figure out what is that one thing that they're doing better than you are, it makes it a lot easier to then fill that gap. And then you're like, okay, cool, I've done that, now I'm at their level, right? Because there's clearly, when someone's doing better than you, it's not usually by luck or by chance. It's just unlikely. Whether they came into family money, maybe that's a different story. But like when there's someone's doing better in business and financially, it's usually for a specific reason. There's actually like clear, here's the reason why. And when you're able to look at it from that perspective of like, they're just doing some things better than I am. And that's why they're there. Not because they got lucky or because they're them or anything like that. It's just because they're doing some things or many things better than you are.
That's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people. That is a very tough pill to swallow. I used to have very bad comparison issues in high school. Very bad comparison issues. Because my initial goal was to blow up on Instagram, become a Gymshark athlete. That was my first goal.
Hell yeah. I actually wanted to do that. I wanted to become a Gymshark athlete.
And man, I believe that I can do it. And when I was 2-3 years into my fitness journey, posting, tagging Gymshark, buying all their shit, making YouTube videos and stuff, and this kid came out of nowhere to my right, didn't even see him coming, blowing up. Now he's on Gymshark. I'm like, wait, where was my opportunity? I used to have really bad comparison issues with that kind of stuff. I don't have it anymore. And I think the reason why I don't have it anymore is because I have accepted who I am, and I've also really loved the life that I created. I think that if I was in a situation in life that wasn't on my terms, let's say that I went to college and got a job in a cubicle, then I might still be very bitter. But the fact that I was able to create an income that I liked, that I was able to create a community that I really love, and I was able to create things that were mine, I was able to let go of the fact that, hey, I might not be a Gymshark athlete, might not be an athlete, I might not have these things from that other people will validate me by, but I have these things that I've created myself that I feel really proud of. And you know, my business and my community might not be as good as the next one, but it's mine. It's mine, and I'm proud of it. And it's allowed me to see someone who's doing better than I am and not get jealous over it. I can almost be inspired and have a respect for them because I now have have experience under my belt and things that I have mine. That's how I got over it, at least. But
Yeah.
I'm curious, did you struggle with that at all? Do you have any of that today?
Yeah, so I would say I definitely did struggle with it when I was starting out. And I think I struggled with it because the people that I was hanging around was pretty much from the start always more successful than I was. And I was hanging out with a lot of people that were way older and had like a decade on me as well. I think that's something that in the beginning, I would say now I can confidently say that I've gotten out of that. And I don't really feel like I have much issues with it. I mean, I feel like it's still always there to some extent. And I think it's good in some nature because it allows me to be competitive and be like, why am I not there, right? There's clearly something that I'm missing, but I can get there and I'm confident I can get there.
Yeah.
So I'm not comparing, like, in that nature, I think it helps a little bit. Obviously, I know you see the same way, but it was always in the reverse for me. Is like, I would put a lot of pressure on myself because I'm not where they are, but it was also just because they had like 10 years in the space on top of me. So I would say I definitely had to do a lot of work with just trying to make sure that, honestly, staying away from constantly consuming so many other people's content has helped me a lot. Because if I see, I'm not saying it's not good to keep tabs on people and see what they're doing and make sure it could motivate you potentially. Every time I saw it, I was just like, damn, like I'm doing so much worse than them. Yeah. And I think that oftentimes is like taking away from people as they see all these people on social media, or maybe people see me this way and they're like, they get angry when they see me doing all these fun things.
And they might not be angry at you. They might just, just reflect back on
exactly. It's definitely usually having to look inward, which is a hard pill to swallow. But I think that like when you look at people online, you see like the life that we're living, people look at like us and look at our stories on Instagram or our posts, and we're doing all these crazy things. One, we've had to work very hard for them and we continue to work very hard for them. But a lot of times I think that steals a lot of people's joy. Is because they see these other people and it makes comparisons, I feel like, getting higher and higher because of social media, and you get to see into other people's lives and you get to see more of like the highlight reel that everyone talks about. So I would say I've gotten good at doing that by being very selective with the content I consume.
Dude, I think it's funny that you say that because it's almost like people feel obligated to follow people.
Yes.
Dude, my closest friends are on mute. And my closest friends are on mute. And the reason is because it's not good to be consuming. It's not good to be consuming stuff. For me, even though I have gotten over that, there have been days where I have a really hard day in business and I go online and someone's having a really great day in business and I think, man, what am I doing wrong? Or what's wrong with me? Et cetera, et cetera. Because if you're having a bad day, someone else out there is having a good day. And when you see that on social media, it's just not good. So I keep many people mute to protect my mental space so that way I can stay focused and stay in my own little world. Half the time people will come to me and be like, oh, did you see this happen? Or did you see your competitor do this? I'm like, dude, I have no clue what they're up to.
Yes.
No idea.
Yeah, and I think it's, like I said, it's better for your mental health. And I think a lot of people can benefit from, it's setting the boundary. It's hard to do that. It's hard to mute your friends. But obviously when you get to kind of like the level we're at, they will understand. They'll be like, totally cool. Like, I get it. Like,
you're on mute. You're on mute too.
You're on mute too. Exactly. Like, so I think that part is definitely tough for a lot of people, but I've gotten really good at selective with what content am I consuming. I want to make sure that it's either coming from a mentorship, whether it be course material, books, things that are actually providing value into my life. And that's also why I've been able to produce the result I have at a young age, is because I never got into watching TV, sports. I didn't get into any of that stuff. I skipped over it.
That's why you're not watching the Lakers game at 8 p.m. at night.
Exactly. I couldn't even name all the basketball teams if I'm being real. And like, I'm just not like most dudes.
Dude, so there's also something that you said that I want to point out, because I've experienced this myself, is that the moment of jealousy and comparison starts to dwindle when you realize you see these things that other people have and then you believe that you can get it too. When you're at that level, I feel like jealousy and comparison kind of dwindles because I'm looking at the dude next to me in the Lamborghini and I'm not thinking anything negative. I'm thinking, I can get there.
Yes.
Right? I can get there. It's only a matter of time. And I think what that comes from is from building confidence and experience of stacking wins. Saying that you're going to hit a 3K month and hitting a 3K month. Saying that you're going to hit a 5K month and hitting a 5K month. Saying you're going to hit a 10K month and hit a 10K month. But if you set the bar so high, I'm going to go out the gate and hit a 10K month, and you fall short, let's say you make $1,500 and you're beating yourself up. Even though you got one step further, you're beating yourself up. You're creating this gap to where then you look at the guy who's doing better than you and you think, man, I feel like shit.
Yeah, we tell this to clients actually. It's something that I speak about a lot with them, is people that lack confidence, or maybe like people that are watching, someone that like might think personally, I don't have a lot of confidence. What that tells me and what I see that is you just set a lot of promises to yourself that you broke time and time again. And the more you keep doing it, the more you're gonna lack confidence. Physical standpoint, out of the picture completely. Like, get rid of aesthetics, get rid of everything else. If you keep breaking promises to yourself, you will not be confident. So I think the reason that we're confident is because we continue to set the bar. Obviously, yes, make sure it's realistic, but then we follow through with it. And there is that certain feeling of like, I am confident. Despite what anyone else is doing, I can at least bank on my word. When I say it, I will do it. And I think that's the biggest thing.
This reflects into my personal life. I don't know if you pick this up on me. I can say say that in my personal life, I am a very non-committal person, but when I commit, I see it through. Meaning that if someone says, hey, do you want to go do X, Y, and Z? I will not say yes or no. I'll say, I don't know, or maybe, I don't know. I will only say yes when I know for a fact that I can do it and I will do it. It's not the fact that, not just I can do it, but I will do it and I never miss.
Yes.
Because I only commit to the things that I know I can do or willing to do. And I think that's really important. I think a lot of people feel almost flaky in themselves because they'll commit to all these things and not do anything. Where me, if I have 10 things on my plate, I'm gonna knock off 9 of them on my plate. I'm gonna say no to 9 things and only do the one. Yeah. And that could even be opportunities too, right? It could be, oh, someone wants to start a personal training business, but they also want to go in person and they also want to go back to school. They also want to do all these things and they'll kind of pitter patter in all different of these opportunities, get nowhere. Where in myself, I'm going to not do all of them, pick one and do the one. And it makes me so confident because when I say I'm going to do something, I know for a fact that I'm going to do it.
Yeah. I think you, like you're saying, you apply it in like little circumstances, which I think most people don't realize matter.
Yeah.
Like the little ones when you're with your partner, your spouse, like when you're doing it on a day-to-day basis with friends and you're saying no or you're saying yes and you're following through on your word, it sounds super small. It's like just my friends, whatever.
Yeah, no,
but
it stacks though.
It's something mentally, like it's going to continue to affect you outside of that in your decision-making in business, career, whatever it may be. So I think it definitely, it doesn't matter how small it is. Even if you're just speaking to yourself and you're saying bad things, like it doesn't matter. Like we don't want to do that. Like we just don't.
Yeah. So one last thing I want to talk about, because I don't think that people realize that this is very important stuff when you're a beginning entrepreneur starting a business or you just want to succeed in general. But commitments, opportunity costs, decision making, how important those things play out, building momentum, things like that. Taking 2 days off of your business can have a massive effect on your productivity down the road. So how do you go about decision making? Because I mean, dude, you're 21 years old, you're making a ton of money, you're traveling. You can easily be on Hinge, hitting up girls, going out to bars, doing all these things. But I feel like you understand that it's very detrimental to the progress of your business. And so what is the filtration system that goes through your mind when you're making decisions, yes or no? This is worth it, this is not worth it, this is gonna affect my business X, Y, and Z.
I would say trying to pull myself out and like ask down the road, like, is this actually something that's gonna matter? And I think that's something that helps me a lot, is a lot of the decisions that we get tied up on the most, if we zoom out, they actually won't really matter.
Yeah.
Like whether you choose this or choose that, in the grand scheme of things, it usually, don't get me wrong, there's big things, like maybe you're selling a company, like there's big decisions that will definitely still like mean something down the road. But a lot of little day-to-day things that I used to find myself getting caught up on, I think that over time, while having so many, because think about how many decisions we have throughout the day. So many. Not even just like what we're gonna eat, but on top of that, like from a business side, just there's so many. And I think that zooming out and realizing like these little day-to-day ones, although like they're still very important, if you mess up on one of them, it's really not gonna make the end of the world. Like if we zoom out, and I think that I'm okay with it not being the right thing. I used to put so much pressure because I'm like, well, my team needs me to say, always be the right thing, but I'm like, no, they don't. Like the reason I even got the team in the first place is because I did the wrong things a lot of times. So I think that I've given myself a lot of leeway with not always being right and not always being on point with everything. Even though like I may seem that way, I just allow myself to have that wiggle room. And it's something that's very hard to do because when you're in it, you're in it. When you're in the trenches, you're in the trenches. So I try my best to zoom out and look at it from the future. I'm like, in a few years from now, am I really gonna care? And I think I use this so often for myself because we tell our clients the same thing. If it's a holiday, I'm like, what are you gonna look back on and regret more? That you didn't hit your macros on Christmas Eve, or that you were the person that missed out on your Christmas Eve family dinner with your family that you may never get to see again? What are you gonna care about? It's obviously you'd be more upset that you missed the family event, you missed the family gathering than hitting your goddamn protein goal. So I use the same thing with business, is like, what am I gonna look back on and regret more? Missing the opportunity? Am I gonna be taking the opportunity and potentially having a fail? So I think that's the way I try to I like to approach it. And it's kind of, like I said, making that similarity between fitness.
I dig it. Tell me about AI. How are we using AI? I'll talk about AI for a second. For myself, I have dabbled in AI, but I haven't totally used it because for me, I typically am very patient with this kind of stuff. I want to see how it's received and how it's utilized and how people leverage it. I don't want to be the one who goes out and pioneers and figures out, because there's a lot of time investment to figure it out. There's many things that can go wrong, and it's an opportunity cost for me to take away what I know is working for my business to go try to figure out something new. I would rather wait a little bit, have someone else figure it out, and then learn from them how to implement it. So that's my personal preference. I don't have a ton of experience with it yet. I do know that it's freaking crazy, and I do know that it's going to change the industry. And this is one of those things that we're talking about. Like, you have to stay on top of the industry. Every single year the industry is changing. This is one of those things that's changing our industry super, super fast, but I don't think it's as negative as people make it sound. I think people put a lot of fear into AI, and they're like, oh, it's going to take away jobs, it's going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, no, I actually think it's going to make our jobs easier, because what I've learned from you is that the AI is not going to solve solve your problems, you have to know the prompts. You have to know what to feed the AI. And so, you know, take Nick Jansen, my content editor. If I knew content, I can go and get an AI to do all my content for me, but I'm not educated in the space. So Nick, I can pay Nick money who has the experience, and he then leverages AI to produce better, faster, more work for me. That's not gonna take a job away from Nick because I'm still lacking the education with AI. AI is only gonna serve him.
You're still gonna need integrators.
And it's gonna be the same for fitness coaches too.
I agree.
Right? You can absolutely go and use AI to figure out a macro plan, figure out a meal plan, but you won't be able to figure it out because you don't know what questions to ask. You don't know the information to ask. So you're still going to pay the fitness coach for all the help. The fitness coach is then going to leverage AI and be able to get your plans faster, better, more accurate. So for the fitness coach, it's not going to take away your job. It's only going to make it better because people still need the people in between to leverage the tool.
Definitely. And I'm going to say something for anyone that hasn't started using AI. I've been using it for a very long time, which might sound funny, but you were doing every single person in your team, whether it be from the company, your clients, a disservice by not using it. And now it might sound like you're cheating if you're utilizing it, right? That's what a lot of people think is like, oh, you're just cheating. If you're a coach and you're using AI, well, don't get me wrong. If you don't know the information, don't go saying it if you don't actually know it truly yourself, because then you won't be able to help people. But you are doing your clients and your community a disservice by not utilizing it and jumping on it. Because at the end of the day, if you're a great coach without AI, just imagine what you can be one with it. So I think that's the way I look at it, is like it amplifies me and it allows me to produce better results for my clients because I'm able to, even on days where there's emotional things that come in from a coach's standpoint, AI doesn't have an emotion. So I think that's something that where a lot of fitness coaches will toy with things and change things, either whether it be fitness like coaches that have their companies, they'll change things in their business because they're feeling an emotional way about it. Versus AI doesn't have that, and especially when you're making client protocols, you can't have emotion tied into it. So I think that's something that I would state is that like if you're not a coach, you're not utilizing it, I would highly recommend doing it because you not only get better results for your clients, which they're not gonna be pissed about. If you used AI and you got them freaking shredded and they're stoked, they're not gonna care if AI got them there or you got them there with using AI. They don't care. They want the result. So I think that's kind of been my mindset on it. Because on the beginning, I was like, is this ethical?
Is it cheating?
Is this cheating? I'm like, well, no, because it's like getting them what they wanted and it's doing it in a more efficient time manner and it's giving me more bandwidth. Because at the end of the day, a coach is there not for the information, right? The information everyone has access to. It's the application of the information. So we're still going to need appliers, which are the coaches.
It's the integrators and the appliers of information, which is coaches. Exactly. Personally, ethically, in my personal opinion, I think that beginning coaches shouldn't use AI.
I agree.
I think this is also why I haven't jumped into teaching how to do this in PTBI, because I was thinking like, should I learn this right now and teach our clients how to do this? But at the end of the day, I'm like, no, I want our students to be able to have the skills to do it and then leverage AI. So we haven't put it in the course yet just because of that reason, is because ethically, I think it's better to start getting your hands dirty, building these plans yourself and learning through experience. Because if an AI suggests something to you, you still need to be able to proofread and check it specifically to your, you can't just be like, oh, AI did it, and so I'm gonna assume that's good, and next thing someone's hormones are fucked up. So like, I think that you have to earn your stripes, you have to go through the trenches before you earn the right to leverage AI. But then once you leverage it, you can just use it to speed up the process so much, like in many, many ways.
I agree. And yeah, I mean, like, I don't know anything about coding. I can't, although AI can code for you, I would need someone to proofread it for me. So the same thing like you're saying, you have to be a good coach first. I don't think even if you give new coaches AI, they wouldn't even know where to start because like they don't know enough about coaching anyway. So it wouldn't even hurt anybody because they probably wouldn't even know how to ask you the right thing.
And that's also why I think that AI is only going to help business owners and not take away jobs. Because like I mentioned, take Nick Jansen, like I wouldn't know the first thing to ask an AI to start with. I would just pay him to then use the AI to do it for me. So it's going to be the same thing with fitness coaches.
I agree. Yeah. And like I said, I think that it's not going anywhere, right? So I think that the sooner that you can, like you said, either pay someone to help you integrate, or the sooner that you can learn a little bit more about it, you can actually do a lot more good with it. I'm not saying you can't do negative, but for your clients and your community. I
feel like a lot of people are scared of AI. My personal opinion is AI is there to serve you, and you should leverage it all the way up into the point to where it takes over, and then it doesn't matter anyway. And then then we're fucked anyway. So I mean, might as well use it up until that point, and then it's like, who cares?
Until we have Craigbot.
Craigbot
serving clients and doing way better. It doesn't need sleep. It doesn't need food. It just goes.
That's good. Well, dude, it was a good podcast. I think we'll definitely have you back on, and we'll also probably bring some other guests here too as well. Good shit, bro. Cool.